Hello, and welcome to the Sovereign Collective podcast, where we bring you real, raw truth for your self-empowerment. I'm your host, Sasha Calavoda, and I believe that you can stand on your own 2 feet, but that you don't have to do it alone. I love learning from people who continually strive to raise the bar, to go against mainstream thinking, and who dare to question the general consensus. People who risk being ridiculed or even risk the loss of their professional status as they bravely question the common narratives and challenge the rest of us to expand our minds and to reconsider what we think we already know. Join me in learning how to take control of your health and your mind so that you can have the energy to think more clearly and the confidence to step up and take responsibility for all aspects of your life. We promise to never censor here because I believe you are strong enough to hear the real, raw truth to make up your own mind. If you like what you find here at the Sovereign Collective podcast, then please share with your friends and family. I so appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. And now, on to the show. Hey everyone, Satya here for another episode of Sovereign Collective Podcast. Thanks for being with me once again. And I am once again interviewing my favorite homeopath, Mette Mitchell of Homeopathy. She is awesome. She's a licensed homeopath. She's an adventurer. She is a fully activated woman, and she's making homeopathy accessible to the common person. And it makes me so excited. I just recently again had another amazing healing with homeopathy, and we're going to talk about how you can have that in your own home, because it is something that we need to leverage in these days when we don't really want to go to the hospital. If you know what's going on, you don't want to go to the hospital. You don't really want to go to your doctor. But if you can confer with the homeopath, if you can have a kit of it. Oh, by the way, we're going to be talking about this kit right here. If you can have a kit available in your home so you're ready to deal with whatever ails you in the moment, then literally miracles can happen. So the last time I spoke to Mette, she was more in my neck of the woods in Canada, just north of me, and in a tiny home and on this new adventure. Now she's on another new adventure across the pond. So we're going to get a quick update as to what you've been up to, Mette, and what you've been doing. And then we're going to get right into it because she's got amazing courses available, services available, and apps and all sorts of stuff. And we were just getting excited about just some things with homeopathy, like in her world and in my world. And it's ridiculous. It's magic. Of course, the mainstream is going to tell you, oh, they can't decide whether it doesn't work and it's like a placebo, or let's get rid of it because, this is working and it's going to take money away from, big pharma. So it's like, what is it, folks? It can't be both. It can't be useless and harmless and doesn't do anything, but also powerful, and let's block it at the same time. So interesting. So let's talk about homeopathy. And thank you, Mette, for being with me again.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so nice. It's so nice to see you again. And I miss Canada, I gotta say. There's I haven't been away for so long. Like sometimes I think like, oh, I should go there. Or, oh, no, I can't. It's, just thinking about all the local stuff and all the people and so on, So it's nice to reconnect like this again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So good to see you.
And so you are in Europe now, not in a tiny home. You made such a cute little space for yourself, but you're not anymore. And you're doing crazy dips in the ocean, Wim Hofing it and showing us weaklings how it's done.
Well, it's just a matter of going in there. I said, yeah, it is. I am in Denmark, and I'm so lucky to be in an apartment that is right on the beach, actually, as close as to the beach as you can be in Denmark. Denmark is a lot of beach. Denmark is basically one huge, long beach. It's so small and so long, and we got so many islands. So, like, living by the beach, have sand everywhere in your house is it's part of the Danish life. But this is special. It's a very nice beach that I'm at here, and I do sometimes get up in the morning and just go into the water because the water is there. Basically, I'm such a huge fan of just using what you have in your surroundings. If you can just. Like when I was in Canada, it was so fun to have a tiny home. It's almost impossible to have that here because this country is so small. There's nowhere there is a community and all of that. But then I'm here, I got the beach, and I can just go into it and do the breathing exercises, and all you gotta do is breathe out.
Right.
You just breathe out and you breathe out and you breathe out. And then you're back in control of your body from the cold. And then you can really feel where your body is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know, for me, it's painful. It's painful. I'm trying. One day I'll get there.
Breathe out, just breathe out.
Okay, so you have been busy creating,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Creating
Yes.
courses, creating opportunities. So let's just talk about, so your website is homeopathy.
Yes.
And you've got
Correct.
apps, you've got courses, you do online consults. So there's really something for everyone there, whether they're looking for a different price point, whether they're looking for a different kind of service. And that's what I really love about it. You guys, I'll have the links down in the show notes, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on whatever podcast platform, which, you know, I'm being censored. So we'll see. Some places aren't allowing me to download, but we'll see. Anyways, but check it out because this kit, and we're going to get into details, but this kit is 36 remedies that you have your fingertips at all times. It's so much fun. It's so cool. I've used many of, oh, we're missing one right now. We are missing, what was it that my husband needed the other day? Oh no, it's plus something under, oh no, phosphorus. Bleeding nose. My son, bleeding nose. We're using phosphorus.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Ipecac. Oh, Ipecac.
Or Ipecac, yeah. So there's seeds, there's all different things. So anyways, I'm missing one out of there right now. 36 remedies. I take it wherever I go. And Mette had put up this course just a little while ago. It's called, can you tell me what it's called?
Your daily dose.
Daily dose, right?
Yes, yes.
Learning about the 36 remedies every day for 36 days. Not that you have to listen to it, then you can go back and listen again and again. But it's so much fun because you can either read it or you can listen to like a 10, 12-minute blurb. So super digestible, super easy with all the key points. And it's so much fun. It's like, oh my God. And then I think I'm going to remember it. And then then on to the next 5. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this one. But it makes so much sense. It's so practical. And it's like, you've got your own little advisor with you right there. And if you have a family, and if you don't have little kids, but it's so great for little kids because there's so many times that you could just nip something in the bud when that acute situation occurs, when it occurs. And so I thank you for doing that because it's so much fun. Like and it's so useful, right?
I know. And you know that, yeah, no, and that's also, you know, I keep trying, you know, that I make this, then I do this, then I make that, then I do this. I just keep poking and poking and poking because I want everybody to know about homeopathy. I'm not gonna stop doing that, you know, because you know what we have seen also from the last couple of years, you know, like that kind of like massive censorship and the way that people have been dismissed for their opinions, and this is that's the history of homeopathy. You know, this is what it's like being a homeopath. There's nothing new. There's nothing new. As homeopaths, we could just lean back and then we could say, well, now everybody gets the same treatment that homeopaths has had since 1847. Okay.
Right.
See, I get no, but that we need to have homeopathy in the hands of the people
100%.
because then it can never die.
100%.
Yeah.
And we need to get, so you guys, I am going to be making these kits available to you folks in my neck of the woods. So you can get them, I'm sure, from Mette if you're in Europe, right? Are you?
Yeah.
So here I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I've just ordered some in. I'm going to be ordering some more because once you have this, people are like, well, I'm not going to know how to use it. Well, there's a little booklet that comes with it. And when Mette sells it, she's got these awesome little cards that she also has with it. I don't know if you're still making those available.
I'm not making them, but it's the same. It's the same cards that are in the your daily dose.
Right, in the dose. Okay. So, but the daily dose gives you more information, right? Yeah. And so and if you want to, you I don't know if you can access them, but I can access them and they are amazing. So you're going to want this. And this way, if you have it available, they're small. They're not like the same size as the full size pellet that you would get at the store, but you have everything there. And sometimes you only need a couple. And if you need it for a longer duration, then you can fill it back up again, right? Then you can replenish it. Right. But this
Yeah.
way you've got 30, you don't have to go and buy 36 remedies from the store. You've got it all handy. This one kit, you can travel with it. And I freaking love it. And I've used it multiple times for myself, for my family, for other people that, as somebody got stung by a bee, some like arnica, of course. I mean, I usually carry bigger things of arnica as well. I have extra because that's just such a handy dandy thing for so many different things. And probably because I know it more than other things, but aconite's a big one these days, I find, for people in their panic and anxiety and so many different things. But anyways, so where are we going to start with this, Mette? How do you want this conversation to go?
Well, I started with a kit. That's how I started with homeopathy. That's how I got the remedies into my hands first, so the kits should come with a warning. You may end up becoming a homeopath, but
That's awesome.
because I took my daughter to see a homeopath after she was, she got very ill. She had meningitis 2 times in the first year of her life. You can guess why, but I'm smarter now. But that was a very scary time. And I basically understood I couldn't rely on medicine. We were sent away from the emergency room 3 times with a baby with meningitis, okay? Because that's what happens. They don't recognize what it is. And it's super freaky and very scary. And in particular, when it happens 2 times in 4 months.
Right.
And the second time around, she was in hospital for 5 weeks and basically getting medicine, like every couple of hours in that time. And then when we got out, I was super conscious. I need to get her detoxed. I mean, this little precious child had so much medication, and everybody just said, you need to do that with a homeopath. So I found a homeopath, started doing detox, starting getting her treated with a homeopath with K. And then she just said one night, she said, hey, you know what? I'm having this little gathering tonight where I'm just talking a little bit about what is homeopathy and just kind of introducing it a little bit to you. And I went to that. We were a couple of people there in her clinic. And then she had some kits, and I bought a kit and I just stuck it into my bag. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to carry this with me everywhere I go from now on. And then when people were complaining about something, I would just take it out. I would say, okay, what is it? And then I just started prescribing. For like the first trip I was on, I met a friend. He had we were gonna have lunch, but he had nausea. He was feeling a little bit sick, and I was just like, okay, let me see what I got. Found Nox vomica, gave it to him, and he looked at me a little bit, like shortly after, and he was like, I feel fine now. And we were both surprised,
Right. Yeah.
And then I went a little bit later to visit this old aunt. And, she took lots of pills and she had all sorts of problems. But on this specific occasion, she was complaining about her back and it was killing her. And I was like, well, I guess one more pill is not going to change anything. So I looked up, gave her Rostox, and she was like, I feel better. Wow. And I was like, what? And then I just got deeper and deeper and deeper into the kit. And I just, the kit is just so genius. I know that because I experienced it myself. I know how this kit completely changed my life. And it changed my life in so many ways. It changed my life because I didn't want to give my child any medication that wasn't absolutely necessary.
Right.
But when you got homeopathy, you can start treating when things are tiny and when they're small. Like when you are getting a little bit more conscious about side effects, then you delay medication. You go, let's try with some tea and let's try with this and that, and you don't wanna give the medication that you're used to, that you got from the pharmacy, You don't want to give it unless it's absolutely necessary. You don't have to think like that with homeopathy. You can just give something very early on. And as a matter of fact, I recommend it. Nip it in the butt, Don't.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is don't let things fester, and you can take that whole load off your mind. Like, oh, there's no Thailand, there's no liver impact, there's no, there's no toxicity, there's no anything else, and it's just that's what I love about it. It's just so exciting because it's like magical, and if it's the wrong one, it was the wrong one.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe quickly we should say what I know we've talked about this before, but like a super quick recap of what is the basic, what is homeopathy for people that are new to this? They haven't listened to our other interviews. They don't know what it is. What is it?
Okay, so it's basically an activation of the body's own healing capacity. So, homeopathy, it is the smallest microdose of anything that you can find anywhere. And that's also why people get so aggressive about it, because they say there's nothing left in there. It's basically the idea. If you pee in the ocean, your pee is not there because there's more water, so much more water, So, and then you go, but I know the pee is there. Okay, but they can't find the molecule of it.
Yeah.
Because it has been diluted so much. But does it mean that the pee is not there? But homeopathic remedies are highly diluted substances. It can be plants, it can be minerals, it can be basically anything. We don't hold
poisons, right? It can even be poison.
Absolutely. In the kit, you got arsenicum, it's a poison. You got belladonna, it's a poison. You got lachesis, it's a poison. You got apis, it's a poison. There's lots of poisons.
Right.
But if you think about it, how can you explain that the body can react to anything that is such a small dose? Well, if somebody has a peanut allergy, they can basically have an anaphylactic shock just by somebody rattling with a peanut bag. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. Right.
Yeah. So that proves to us that the body is actually capable of producing a huge, big, massive reaction to a very small dose of something. Of course, when we see it with the peanut allergy, then it's an overreaction. It's like the body is there's a dysfunction in the body. But can the body react really fast? Oh, yes, it can. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are feeling when we are taking a homeopathic remedy for something acute. When we get the right one, boy, it almost feels magical.
Oh, it is. It is. So on that line, so people are going to be wondering, okay, well, that's super dilute and that caused harm. Like, can you dilute peanuts enough to reverse the allergy? Like, is there a peanut homeopathic?
Yeah. There would be I wonder what it's called in homeopathic. I don't know. But since, you have to imagine that homeopathy, first of all, it's diluted beyond what a speckle, one speckle of peanut would be.
Right.
Secondly, we also have a specific process where something called succussion is included. So there's like some vigorous shaking process that is necessary to do in the production of the homeopathic remedy. But with homeopathy, we work with the body's own vitality. So what that means is when we are working with the body's own vitality, it is that the body actually never wants to do any harm to the body.
I love that because we are in an age where we think the body's attacking the body, but I don't.
Even when the body is attacking the body, it always starts the attack in the place where it would do the least damage.
Oh. Okay.
Even if you look at cancers, most cancers for women start in the breast tissue. Most cancers for men start in the testicles. And you can live without your breasts and you can live without your testicles. I know that's a hard truth for some. But you actually can. But you can't live without your liver. You can't live without your lungs. You can't, you know, the body has it doesn't matter whenever the body has something, the body is always protecting. But, you know, in this thing about, you know, like the proof that, or like how I understand that the body always want to do good, it is that we have no homeopathic remedies that can induce a miscarriage or produce an abortion.
Oh,
Because that goes against the body. Because
right.
the body wants to hold the baby. You know, there's herbs that can do that.
Yes.
But because we are working with the body's own vitality, the body will not, is not able to do a action like that on the homeopath demand.
Right. Okay,
We
and that's a really important thing because you know when we're dealing with acute situations in a pregnancy, we want to know that we can prescribe something that's super safe and that's not going to cause any harm. And so we'll talk about that because you have that whole course that we're going to talk about. But that's interesting. Okay, that's a cool.
yeah, yeah. So in that way, we are tapping into the body's own healing capacity. And then the body does the healing. And that's why sometimes when we take something for something acute, it works so super fast because you don't have to wait for it to be digested and distributed through the blood and so on. It just goes like that.
Literally, sometimes it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
Like I was just telling a story. Well, I told you the story, I think, last time with my husband who had this crazy throat snoring and he did apis and it's like instantly air let out of the tires, inflammation down. It was like a miracle, never happened again. It was nuts. And then the other day, I just shared this story on Facebook. My son had he goes to trampoline class and parkour and stuff. It's like, what's on my back? I couldn't bounce on his back because it only had these 2 boils. And I just listened to your little bit on sulfur with the 36 remedy class. And it's good for all sorts of things. And a few things I think line up with him, but boils is one of them. So I gave him 2 pellets under the tongue once, and then once more before he went to bed. He woke up and they were just the red spots were still there, but they were flat and gone. And he's never had, and they haven't irritated him. He hasn't had any problems with that. That's it. Like that instant thing. And that's why I tell people, like, people come to me and they'll ask me for things. I'm like, well, why did you let it get so bad? Like, don't you know the body is amazing? We just support it in that moment. Right? Because I'm sure, you know, things become. So what's the difference between using a homeopathy in an acute condition compared to a chronic condition?
So, you know, in an acute condition, you actually have like a very high vital expression from the body. The vitality is already working. It's because it's producing, you know, like when your son, he's producing the boil, you know, it's basically an expression of your body's vitality, you know, that is trying to do something.
Yeah.
And it's working on it here and now. You can say everything is here and now. It's the same thing. Childbirth, wonderful, acute expression, you know, like it's like what I say always to the midwives. It's like I say, well, you don't have to ask your patient if you're feeling sad or are you feeling angry, because you just have to look at her, okay? and you will know, because everything is there, everything is present, you know, everything is there. When we work with something that is chronic, then we have layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. There's a long history, basically, of things that has happened. And very often also we see that the vitality is low. So we don't have the benefit of that spontaneous, you know, like if you look at a baby with a fever, high fever, screaming, skin is red, you know, bending backwards, loud. That's high vitality. We should not forget that. It may be a high fever, but it's a high vitality compared to somebody that is so weak they can't even produce a proper cough.
Right. Okay.
You know? So when we have something that is chronic, then we have, like, first of all, we have wear and tear of the body, and then we also have a succession of events that has happened. And we base and I would say also that most chronic stuff root in detox, the body not being able to detox properly, or it's being too toxic with whatever is being filled into it every day. But then it's like it moves from detoxification problem, which is in modern language is called a viral infection. I don't know about you, but
Oh,
for
I'm
me,
talking to Amanda Vollmer all about this later on this month. We're going to do another interview with about the truth about all that, because I'm so sick of hearing about that stuff. I'm so sick of hearing about how we get sick and how useless and how some victims we are about that. So I'm like, I know she's talked about it a million times. Like, we're going to clear this up, people, once and for all.
yeah. Yeah, well, my perspective is, and actually I did this interview with my old classmate that I studied homeopathy, an Italian guy that is very controversial. He was one of the guys that did he tested papayas and oranges for COVID.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
These
yeah.
3 Italian guys, yeah. And so we
Did they have
studied.
viral infections, those poor plants?
He says, and he's actually studying virology right now. This guy, he got a PhD in philosophy. He got the Bachelor of Science that we got together about homeopathy. And he actually got nominated for a Nobel's Prize in medicine. Okay.
Oh,
And
wow.
because he's so stubborn, and quite annoying at times, he's like, no, that's not the way it is. He's like, then he decided to go to London to study virology because
Wow.
he's like, and I spoke to him not long ago, and he was like, my conclusion is there is no such thing as a virus.
Right.
I did an interview
Studied
with him.
virology. So interesting.
And I did an interview with him on YouTube. It got taken down after 30 minutes.
Oh, no way. That's the thing. I got to move my
That's
stuff.
how you know. Okay, but what he taught me is that first, viral infection is a detoxification deficiency.
Detoxification deficiency. So what do you mean? It's a deficiency in something that you need to detox. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah,
exactly?
your body just doesn't understand how to detox it.
Okay. Okay.
It's like a hangover, okay, with a fever, whatever, And then when the body doesn't understand properly how to detox, I know this is a bit, but it's so I'm gonna try and not get too deep into it. But then when the body can't detoxify properly, okay,
yeah.
This is his words, and for me it makes completely sense, and this is the model that I'm working with. So when the body can't detoxify, then it calls for the friends, and the friends are called bacteria, and then the bacteria, they will come. And they will start nipping on the toxins and eat them away. But of course, now we also have a byproduct, which is infection. So we have the pus and we have like different problems, But basically, what he says is the bacteria are coming to solve the detoxification problem.
Right.
And you take antibiotics because that's kind of like the lane, right? So then you take antibiotics, so you kill your friends. So then what happens? What happens after you took antibiotics? You get a fungal infection. Because now the toxins are being pushed deeper into the system. Because we have a failed detoxification. We have a failed cleanup with bacteria. Now it becomes a fungal infection. And then the next stage is parasites, basically.
So, and is he saying, so this is what we're going to be talking about, is he saying that it's coming from the body, from within? Like, and is he talking about like the microzyma theory, where things are evolving into different microorganisms to deal with what's going on in the body?
Absolutely. That the body's primary wish is to detoxify.
Right. Yes.
And when it can't do it at its own means, it needs bacteria or it needs fungi to come. And in the end, parasites.
Right. Interesting. And that's the thing. And there's a big thing about parasites kill the parasites, but the parasites are there for a reason. So did you remove the reason that they were there or in the first place?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, when you treat something chronic, you gotta basically trace everything back all the way back to from my perspective, where the body had a problem detoxifying.
Right. Okay.
But if you detoxify a toxic body too fast, like when people have it in their joints, or it's coming out through the skin, or it's you gotta, because at the same time, while the body is dealing with these issues, because like in homeopathy, we don't think that any babies have recurrent ear infections. We say they have one ear infection.
Okay.
And sometimes it's crazy wild and sometimes it's low. But the ear infection is there. It's not going away when it's recurrent. There's no breaks. And that it takes its toll on the body. That means the body has a bigger difficulty digesting food, sleeping, breathing, repairing, protecting itself against other infections, and so on, because now you have a stress in the body. And once you have stress in the body, all systems are being affected.
Right.
And you need to pick up on that. You need to support the organs. You need to, bring the revive the organs, revive the blood flow, revive the hydration of the body, and all of that. And that's why chronic stuff different. You need to have a homeopath to help with chronic things always. You can deal with acute yourself, and you can deal with the maintaining causes yourself. And so this is another thing I like to talk about more and more in my materials online, where I'm like, if you have bad sleep, this is the first thing you need to address.
Okay.
Because if you can't sleep, you will never heal. I can't heal you if you don't sleep.
Right. Because that's when the body is doing the healing, right?
Exactly.
I know. And that's such a big issue for people. I don't even know how they're around. Like, seriously, it's just so many people. They're either having barely any sleep or just interrupted sleep. It's like, how is the body healing? How is a child growing if they're not sleeping? Like, that's when it happens, right? When you're sleeping, that's just an important part, to be in the dark asleep.
Exactly.
In modern life, we're not in the dark enough and we're not sleeping enough.
Yeah. So that's what we call like maintaining courses. So the same thing as if you have a really asshole boss, maybe
maintaining courses. Is that what you're saying? What do you,
yeah.
Can you explain that a bit? I'm going to look at, hey, by the way, I'm going to take something right now. I'm going to look for, do I have Ignatia in this? I have Ignatia in this, right? Am I
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Okay. Because I have this funny eye thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try it just while we're...
Give it a go. Give it a go.
Give it a go while we're talking. Yeah. This is fun, folks, right? Like, here I am medicating myself, not really, but helping myself live and this is what you can do, and you don't care if it's wrong or right,
because it doesn't matter.
Like, ideally you're gonna resolve your situation, but you're not gonna cause harm, people. So here I am. So
and that's the thing. Yeah.
Say just, I know I'm sidetracking, but usually the pellets say 4, I think, but I usually just take 2, because I remember you said before
just take one. One is enough. One is enough.
One is enough even?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So these little vials will go a lot further than you think, because you don't have to actually take 4 or 5 pellets at a time, right? You just need the essence, the frequency of that remedy in you. Okay, so I took one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine.
I remember where we're at. Okay, so yeah, the chronic stuff and the sleeping stuff, and like
the maintaining courses there.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like, if you come to me and you say, I got vertigo, and I'm like, okay. And like vertigo is actually a symptom that we look at very seriously in homeopathy. It's like vertigo. It's like, whoa, okay, tell me everything about it. Because it's what we call a general symptom. So a general symptom is because you can't point to and say, where is my vertigo? It sits here. No, when you have vertigo, it affects your breathing, it affects your saliva in your mouth, it affects your balance, it affects how you move, it affects your digestion, there's no system that is unaffected by vertigo. All systems are affected by vertigo, right? So that's what we call general symptoms. And those are the very, very, very important. We take them very seriously in homeopathy. So but if you say you got vertigo and I'm like, okay, wow, let's talk about it. Okay. And then I find out that you drink a bottle of whiskey every day, okay. Then the whiskey is a maintaining cause. Do you know what I mean? I can't do anything about your vertigo as long as you're drinking the whiskey, okay. But maintaining causes can be that you're not proper hydrated, that you don't get enough sleep, that you don't get fresh air, that you don't have positive contact in your life. It can be a mean asshole boss. It can be poor nutrition. It can be so many things that, like, of course, it's easier for me to heal you if you also eat well, because your vitality will be higher and the remedies are going to respond to your vitality, right? Right. If you never eat any fiber, how am I going to help you with your constipation? I'm not a magician.
Right.
There's
some basics, and that's the thing. People are like, well, can I take this and still do this? It's like you're trying to pop the balloon and blow air into it at the same time. It's not going to work, people. It's not how it works. This is a complement to, some really good basics that we need to all be adopting.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So maintaining courses, it's something that you can look around in your environment. You can see, okay, what do I need? What can I most of the time, actually, it's just what can I remove? It's like, if you drink Coca-Cola, you can stop drinking Coca-Cola and you have removed a maintaining cause. Right. If you eat sugar, you can remove the sugar and you have removed a maintaining cause. If you don't walk, you can start, just to start by looking at the stuff that you can remove.
Right.
And then
but that will naturally be like, a lot of that will, less Coke will hopefully mean more water, right? So it'll hopefully naturally bring in other things that are going to be more helpful for the body and mind. Yeah. Okay.
And the acute things that we talk about in your daily dose, yes, that's also something you can do, because everything is there. You can see it express. Oh, there's the boil,
Yes.
That's like, you can completely learn how to deal with that with the kit. And you can go the hard way and just sit down and learn everything from scratch by yourself, or you can do the daily dose and then you get it all on a silver plate. I mean, I have been working on stuffing homeopathy down people's throats for years. This is my most
It's brilliant. Cece, it's not expensive. You've got this. Do we get lifetime access to this, or is it
well, you have it in your inbox,
right? You have it in your inbox, so we can always go back to it, right?
Yeah.
So you can go back to it all the time. You got Mette whispering or speaking in your ear about the different things, and then, because you might forget over time, so it's a really good thing to listen to, or you never know, it might be divine timing, like with me and my son and his boil, and I just happened to listen to that one at the same time, or you might be drawn to, or you just might want to recap. And there's so many things that are relevant, like they're so relevant, right? It could be whether you've hurt yourself, or you've got a pain, or you've got a blood, or a sting, or there's so many heat, cold, like emotional stuff. Like, it's so practical and it's accessible to everyone. It's cheap, and you just need the kit. And even if you don't have the kit, but it is centered around this kit so that you know about every single remedy in this kit, in addition to what they already give you in the little booklet that they give you in there. But it's more, and it's genius, Mette. It's genius. Like do they know that you did this? Like, they should
Oh,
know
yeah,
about this.
yeah. You know, even actually all the little cards, they read through them and approved all the information, then corrected it and so on, because like that, you know, like you have these little, because you can download the pictures that are in the emails, and they're screen sized, you know, they fit on your phone.
Yes.
So you can just make a folder on the phone, and then you just have the little flashcards on your phone, basically.
Right.
Because the Society of Homeopaths, they used it as a campaign in England, and then they set up the connection with Helios. So Helios actually sat down and looked through everything. Yeah, no, they totally know. Yeah,
even better.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
From the actual manufacturer of the remedy kit itself. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then also what you can do is you can get the app. Mette has a homeopathy app that you can download. I have it on my phone, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to look up something right away and you want it at your fingertips, because I'm more of a, I like having the cards and I like looking at stuff, but I also listen to stuff. And, you know, if you're out and about, you got your phone. So there's so many different ways that you can access this information. And if you're on the fly, and if you say you have a kit and you're traveling and you don't want to, and you just want to look it up on the, like on the app, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, I can't remember how you I haven't looked at the can you put in symptoms and check by symptoms on the?
Yeah. And then you just swipe your way through.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you just go and you look at that, and then you're and it literally, it can really stop something from turning into something so much bigger, right? And then so much deeper ingrained and so much harder to treat. And when you have your kids, it's safe. Like, it's super effective, it's super safe, and I've used it multiple, like that was my primary go-to for my son and all his little things. And thank God I don't have an accident-prone child like some people do, but you know, but we had, you know, for croup, for spills, for boils, for dental stuff, for like so many different things. So
no, completely.
So
and also, you know, like when I do the consultations, because when I do chronic consultations with people, I do it on a subscription, you know, so that, because then people pay the same amount every month, and then I can say, well, I would like to see you in 2 weeks instead of in 4 weeks, you know, and then I know I don't have to invoice extra, you know, it gives such a nice freedom. And in that, in those subscriptions, I also have you can book as many acute calls as you need.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, if you have something, but I want you to have a kit for that, because then I can just say, take this, give it a go, text me in 20 minutes and let me know how it goes.
And in 20 minutes, folks, did you hear that? Because in 20 minutes, she's thinking there could be a response to it in 20 minutes. Right?
Oh, yeah. No, 20 minutes, that's conservative. You know, that's just so that I can get a little break here, because, you know, sometimes it's also, I would just say in consultation, I had this lady, she was laying in her bed, she could hardly move. I treat her chronic, and she was just like, I'm sorry, you know, like she was horizontal. I just can't move. My back aches so much. It hurts so much. And I said, okay, do you have your kit? And she's like, yeah, I got it right here. And I asked her to take a remedy. I think it was Rustax or Ruta, maybe. I'm not really sure. And then we just keep talking. Boom, boom, boom. And then like 5 minutes later, I would say, okay, try and stand up now and feel. And then it's like, oh my God, I can move my leg like this now. And I can, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's the body that is doing it.
Right. It's the body that's doing it. That's right. Right. The kit doesn't work if it's just sitting here. You got to actually use it, because that's the interaction of the body, but it's the body doing it. It's the body doing it with anything, right?
Yes.
The body has so many impediments due to all the crap that we're putting in, or the deficiencies that it has, or the emotional stress, or whatever else is going on. So one that I've actually found that is very helpful these days, and that I seem to be recommending a lot, is aconite. Because I find that people are so anxious and they're having panic attacks and they're so sensitive and or anything, and correct me if I'm wrong, but anything, I tell people like anything that comes on suddenly, like just go with the aconite. It's such a really helpful thing. It's a cold that just came on or a feeling that just came on, right? Like I just find that
Right.
that's a big one. Like I have a friend who's she's gone through all these different I don't know, she's just really deepening into her own essence. And there was a period there where she was so intensely sensitive to being out in public and it was like really panicky for her. But aconite just calmed it down.
Yeah.
Calmed it down. She, it was better for her to just not go out for a little while. And then it just, she kind of reset and her nervous system reset and she was good. But in those moments, the aconite was so, so helpful for her to just take the edge off.
Yeah. And actually, we could all just pop an aconite every so often.
Yeah.
Because you know, like today today here in Denmark, you know, they tested the this dreaded alarm on your mobile phone, you know, emergency. Yeah. You know, so that means that half of the countries had a jump scare today. And if you know, like the chemistry that goes on when you had a jump scare like that, well, I'm not saying that it's a big thing, you know, but you could also just take an aconite after something like this, just to,
Yes.
because there is a lot of stuff going on like this. And I took also, there's once I had this whole group of women. I don't know if there were 100 women or something like this, and I was doing this little lecture about homeopathy, and they were deep into some detox plan, and I was just like a small part of the whole thing. And but I asked all of them to take aconite 30C on the first day, aconite 200C on the second day, and aconite 1M on the third day. I'm just like, let's just.
Interesting.
Also because they had a lot of hormonal stuff, and you know, like a lot of emotions skating all over the place and so on. So I was like, okay, 80% of the women that are here would benefit from an aconite. And you know, the first thing that happens if you take an aconite successfully, it is you sleep like a baby.
Oh, a lot of people would like to know that. Okay, and which
Yes.
one? And so, okay, so explain to people when you say 30C, and I have to just jump over there. Everyone, right back. My phone go off. I forgot to turn it off.
Well, the 30, 200, and 1M, it's just different potencies. It's basically that when the potency goes up, you go deeper into the body and the mind, basically. So a 30C is more superficial, a 200C is deeper. Right. A 30C has a lot of physical symptoms, and the 30C is what we have in the kids. 30C has a lot, you know, like you would treat successfully physical symptoms, but you would do that with a 200C and, you know, all the other ones as well. But with the 30C, you also compare to a 12C, for instance. With the 12C, you don't reach any emotions, okay? But with a 30C, you also reach the emotions, and you can probably also prescribe on the emotions, because the emotions are described in the daily dose that is around 30C. Also in the kit, the way that things are described there in the booklet that comes with the kit. But then when you have a 200C, you have a lot of emotions. So like I said, for instance, with a childbirth, we use 200C because it's very easy for us to recognize the emotions, and a lot of the emotions are basically the core symptom that we are trying to treat. That she's weepy, that she gives up, that she's angry, that, you know, whatever it, you know. Then we need the 200C to kind of like reach in with it. But all healing comes from inside and moves out. So that means when we give a higher potency, we also treat the physical, because the remedy is going to move from the inside towards the skin, you know, still, you know. But then when we take a 1M, then we get even deeper. And then I just suggested to these ladies to do the aconite in this way, so that we don't just go deep in right away.
Oh,
You
okay.
know what I mean? Because I didn't do individual consultation. I was like, okay, let's just do it a little bit kinder.
Right. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And
Okay.
just do a little letter so that we clear out one layer before we go a little bit deeper. And then that has to like go through all the layers, you know, then we have basically cleared the outer layer, so to say.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You can really work on emotions. My husband had a men's group many years ago, and he had them do the heal detox. And some of them had to stop, they couldn't handle all the emotions that were coming up. Right?
Yeah.
That's what they were cleansed. They were working on it. They were getting all this emotional stuff come up, and some of them just weren't ready to deal with it. Super interesting. Yeah. So can be
like
super
a
powerful.
podium.
There's a lot of things that need to detox, right? We hold on to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know, tears are a discharge as well.
Yes, of course. Well,
Words, talking is a discharge as well. Dreams
dreams
are a discharge as well. Yeah.
What's going on with me? I've been dreaming like crazy lately. Okay, so you also have a course that I signed up before called your 12 weeks homeopathy. So what could people, so the 36 remedy, very effective for, you know, what you need to deal with in the moment kind of thing. So what can people expect if they do your 12-week? How does that work?
In the 12-week course, it is actually an assembly of different things that I have done previously. So that's a, you know, so maybe it doesn't look as nice and smooth a concept as the daily dose. But you just get like a different variety of different perspectives of homeopathy. And maybe some of it you think is interesting, maybe some of it you're not so interested in. But there will be more talk about potencies or pharmacy, you know, like more kind of like we get deep, we get more around homeopathy, basically. So I would say that the first course to start with, definitely your daily dose.
Daily dose. But I think for people that are curious to understanding it a little bit more, that 12 weeks after that,
Oh,
you have an
definitely.
understanding, because a lot of people, I don't know, for me, I'd like to know the history behind it, like how the method behind it, you know, that kind of a thing as well. So yeah, okay. So that's just more around that. But for people that are practical, they just want to be able to use it and not deal with it. They don't have time, but they want to, because what this does for you guys as well is it kind of gives you that space to be like, okay, I've got so many things to handle, so many situations, right? You're equipped for so many different situations that might pop up in your own life, in somebody else's life, in your child's life. And it's just so handy that way. So, okay. So then there's that. And then you just released another one. So let's talk about the latest offering that you have out
So
there.
that's the midwifery. And I have to say that, you know, I have been in two births myself, when I was born and when my daughter was born. just to set that straight. That's my own personal experience with birth. However, because I did all these courses about homeopathy, like, you know, from the daily dose and so on, in Danish, then there were some midwives in Denmark that they were like, Mette, can you do a course like that, but for us, you know, about midwifery? And I was like, well, let's do it, you know. And then I sat down and I made this huge, big, massive material about, you know, basically it's like, it's like, you can't do anything wrong. I'm giving you everything that you need to know as a midwife or as a doula, or if you're in other ways have a professional kind of life around helping babies coming out, right, and into this world. So now I basically just translated everything to English. and set it all up in a beautiful online course where I have, because I've been doing all these online courses, for I don't know how many years now, but maybe 5 or 6 years or something, where I've been working in these different systems, setting up courses, where I really feel like with the midwifery course there, I got to use everything that I learned from the last couple of years of setting up courses. And everything is just set up in pretty little modules and with pictures that them from the daily dose, the little paintings that my daughter made. I had enough foresight to have her paint them for me as well, for the remedies that are extra in the midwifery course compared to the daily dose, or like there's some other remedies that are just specific for childbirth. And then you basically just get taken through. So I think there's 32 remedies that I talk about in this course. Actually 34, because there's 2 extra remedies that I realized in the process I needed to add. But then you get that's like your toolbox in this midwifery course. So you have like 34 tools, which is the 34 remedies. So I describe them as tools. And then after that, we split the birth into phases and also preparation and aftercare. And it's just in each its own section. And then I'm like, okay, in preparation to birth, now we're going to talk about these tools from your toolbox, because these tools are most relevant in preparation. Let's talk about them, about preparation, so that everything gets completely presented, picked apart. It's like a complete user manual, where you can go in, there's an index, you can look up different situations, there's descriptions of the homeopath, of the tools. How do you use this tool in this situation?
Are you breaking it down into trimesters as well for what to do in different trimesters, or is it more specifically around the birth?
Around the birth, yes.
Around the birth, okay.
And aftercare and inducing birth, for instance.
Okay, and you also you do have a resource for tissue salts and pregnancy.
It's in there as well, yeah.
As well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but this, like, I really, that's one thing, I thought I was so prepared back in the day because I researched so many different things around my own, not my own birth, the birth of my son. And there's still big holes that and this is one of them. I mean, I did have some homeopathy for sure, but I think it could have been a lot more expanded as to the possibilities and to the understanding. And I wish that I would have studied that a little bit more for my own self back in the day.
Yeah, that's the way we always look back on things. But, like I said, also with the daily dose, it's like one of those things where I'm just poking around, trying to find something that people are interested in enough, like where I go, okay, people are actually buying this, people are actually giving me good feedback on this and so on. And it was a little bit the same thing with the midwives. And then, so I set up the course. It was one person on Instagram. She asked me, do you have any resources to teach me about using homeopathy for childbirth? And then I was like, okay, right, I'm going to translate. I'm just going to sit down, get my nose in here. And I did nothing, nothing else, seeing patients, doing that until it was done.
Wow.
And then once it was done, I was like, okay, let me see if there's anybody that wanna midwives that want to take a look at it and so on. And then I got in touch with Midwifery Wisdom, which is this what did we call it, like this after training of midwives in the US.
They get their credits.
Yeah, the credits.
Yeah.
But I would also just say full stop every time you talk with a midwife. I just love talking to midwives. I look up to them so much. I think they're amazing creatures. But just the ways that they were already using homeopathy, like the midwives I was talking to from Midwifery Wisdom, and how cool they were, how well they knew the remedies. And like we had a little conversation and we were talking about a couple of remedies, and you can just see, wow, okay, like we were talking about gelsemium, and where she asked me something about gelsemium, and where I said, well, the one thing you have to remember about gelsemium is that they become gelsemium from bad news. So gelsemium is a reaction to
Oh,
bad news. And the bad news, of course, is that the cervix is not opening. But every time you tell her, it's
right.
more bad news. And she's going to be even more
I could
gelsemium. It
use
was
that.
like
I could use that. Yeah.
they can
Wow.
so use that, Yeah.
Oh, so interesting. And so what I love about this too is that then the mom will see the power of it, and hopefully she'll start using that in her own home and with her baby. So you can use it for colic and constipation and whatever else the baby's with, teething, a wonderful, wonderful thing to use for teething, right? And
Yes.
all
Yes.
sorts of other things, and just hope that that's what the baby's introduction is into this world, and that just that safe care. And the thing is I understand your feeling about midwives. The problem is a lot of them are becoming, there's this term midwives. They're
Mm.
just there is a real plan to medicalize birth. I mean, it already is to a crazy degree. But
Yeah.
this is what we're losing those traditions, and that tradition of really trusting like the body, the woman is the one who's giving birth. And let's just do what we can to activate that power in that woman and stop getting in the freaking way all the time, right? And making it as is something that they need to be afraid of, or that they don't know how to do or whatever. So that's really interesting about that bad news thing, because that's going to alter your your whole consciousness around it, because you're like, oh God, still, and I can see that. So that's what, and then you just support the woman, like in this day where we're trying to seemingly cancel women. I think this is really
Yeah. Oh
important,
my God.
empowering the birth process with
Yes.
the wisdom of the body and the wisdom of the birth workers and the wisdom of everybody who's involved. So,
And
yeah.
if you look at how do animals in nature, when do they give birth? Well, they only give birth when they feel safe. They don't give birth like mid sprint while they're being chased by something. They actually is and it's the same thing with humans. But then at the same time, when in the medicalized birth, there's so much fear
So much.
being presented to the women that it almost becomes impossible for them to go
Right.
into a
Of course.
natural
You just
labor.
shut it all down. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you think, oh, thank God for the doctors. I never would have been able to give birth if it weren't for them. They saved my baby. It's like, really? Did they? Did they really?
Yeah.
Let's look at this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's interesting. So coming back to this, no, let's finish. What else do you want to say about this? Let's talk about this, because I want to talk about, like, say just a few, and I know it's super hard to choose, but I also want to talk about, like, just pick a few key remedies that are really practical for people to know,
Right.
for example.
Right.
But before that, what else? Okay, so about this course. So we're going to have the links, folks, as well, if this is something that
Oh,
interests you.
well, I could just mention that I just launched actually a little bit controversial, but I just launched how I don't even know what to call it yet, but like a weight loss program where but where, because I have worked with weight loss before with homeopathy, with homeopathic HCG. This is another podcast, but the things that has always bothered me in working with the weight loss, even though there's protocols that are amazing and you just cut off the weight in a crazy fast way, and in a good way, in a healthy way, and all of that, but again, the extra weight on the body is just another signal in the dashboard reporting about something deeper in the system that needs attention. So this weight loss thing that I have launched, that is where we see each other weekly for 4 months.
Okay.
And then really address, okay, what is actually going through you when you can't reach for whatever you want to reach for, the carbohydrates, basically. What's happening inside of you? You know, what is the trauma? Because when we go in and when we look at the homeopathic remedies, like the homeopathic remedy sugar, like a homeopathic remedy made from sugar, what is the, and you know, you can take a homeopathic remedy made from sugar, saccharum album is the name of it. You can take that for sugar craving, and it will crumble the sugar cravings. You know.
Well, that's so funny because these are sugar though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Are
but they're not
actually
homeopathic. That, you know, like when you
yeah.
go through the, yeah, because that's crude dose. You know what's in
So
there.
that's so
But when,
interesting. So you can put the homeopathic dose of sugar in a crude dose of sugar.
oh yes, you can. Oh yes, you can.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at the mental emotional picture at the homeopathic remedy sugar, then it is that you have been disappointed in love, that you didn't feel loved when you were a child, that you have unfulfilled romantic feelings. And so, you know, like very, very sad mental and emotional things. And which, of course, what we know is what's behind emotional eating, you know, because I even spoke with someone that was an alcoholic a long time ago, where we spoke about what was your drug. It was beer. Okay, why did you pick beer? You know, we never pick our addiction by accident. The addiction is an indication of you're trying to, it's self-medication. That's what we call it. And it's real. We are trying to give ourselves something that we are lacking. And in the homeopathic remedies, it becomes so clear. So this new system that I have set up that includes detox, getting you to sleep like a baby, de-stressing, no cardio. Cardio is illegal in this. And oh yeah, and meal plans. So with combination of fasting and keto, and then I got this HCG thing as well. But the main thing is that we get to look at the weight loss as a ritual. You're shedding from the body, but we are going to get into your soul, and then we are going to address what it is that is actually going on in there.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be like, oops, I can see them, you know, but that's powerful because, right, this is a cushion. This is something that's there for so many different reasons for that, right? So that's amazing. Very unique weight loss program, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But an amazing journey. An amazing journey. I mean, for anybody, you know, you still have to stick to the meal plan, and you have to, but I'll give, you know, all the tools that makes it easier, you know. But then it can become this thing where you actually come out on the other side and you're like, wow, not only did I shed the weight I want to shed, and that makes my organs healthier, and I'm not in any risk of getting diabetes and you know, other things that comes with extra weight, but you actually have a real chance of healing some deep wounds. Yeah. And that's basically necessary. It's the same thing with any addiction. You know, you can't just remove the substance.
No.
You gotta deal with the trauma.
Yeah. Well, and it's just going to shift to something else, right? If you don't truly heal that, you will replace one addiction with the other one. And just think just how in general, just how freeing that's going to be. Like it's a whole new you, a whole new possibility, a whole new outlook, a whole new path. Right? You're gonna, if you keep going this way, like my big focus is I turned off all the shit from the last, I'm not supporting that anymore. I'm not talking about it anymore. I mean, it comes up here and there, but it's not like before where it's like 2 years of like staring at this nonsense, 2 years. But when you do that and because if we truly believe that what we feel and what we think and what we emote is going to impact our life and the reality of our life, then we got to take that seriously. And it changes, like things change and they change fast. So that's really important because that's the stuff that keeps you in your self-sabotaging behavior, right? The way that you don't get your success or your relationship or your whatever, or your weight loss even, because you're not good enough. Like there's so many reasons for that. So it's not just a weight loss program, obviously, from what I'm hearing. It's life-changing, and it'll change your
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
trajectory into a whole new direction.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an exciting thing, actually. It's like a beautiful gift. And, like also with all this Ozempic that actually comes from Denmark, this new miracle weight loss drug.
Oh, I'm hearing about, somebody was telling me about, that's for is that Ozempic? Is that what you called it?
Yeah, it's Ozempic, and then there's another name for it as well. I can't remember the other name.
And that's for blood sugar? Is that what that's for?
Oh, weight loss.
It's for weight loss. Oh, okay. Because I know
Yeah,
people
yeah,
have told me, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know what this is. I don't familiarize myself with the.
Yeah. No, but it's huge. And it's made by this same Danish pharmaceutical company that actually made insulin as a injection the first time. So they love fat people.
Okay, that's hilarious. Okay,
Yeah.
what? I just want to check my questions here
Mm-hmm.
about. Okay, so quickly about the homeopathy for people to know. There's no harm, right? There's no
There's no
harm.
harm.
There's no contraindications. Like, is this something that somebody needs to be mindful of in a certain way? When do you have to be mindful of it? Who can't do it? Is there anyone who can't do it?
No, everybody can do it. The only thing you have to bear in mind, like sometimes the only thing that can go wrong is that you take a remedy and you go, oh my God, this remedy feels so good. And then you just say, I'm going to take this every day for the rest of my life. That's not what you're supposed to do. And that's where it can start to become problematic, because then you will start what we call proving the remedy. So that means instead of healing the symptoms, you start producing the symptoms.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I say you can treat acute things yourself, no problem, because you're not going to have a nerve pain in your hand for that long if you got it jammed in the door. That's going to go away. You can treat that safely, no problem. But once you start taking remedies for longer, and for longer, I would say anything more than 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that as long as you just treat the acute things, it's there, it's here right now it's gone. Then when it's gone, stop taking the remedy.
Okay.
So, sometimes as homeopaths, we ask patients to take remedies for longer. And then normally it's a low potency, organ support, something like this. Or we use a special range of potencies that's called LMs, where it can also safely be taken for a very long time. But that's the only thing. You gotta stop. You have to stop taking it again. When the symptoms are gone, stop taking it.
Okay.
Unless you have advice from a homeopath that knows what they're doing.
Oh.
And the other thing, sometimes, where you have to sometimes just think a little bit, it is if you use a remedy like sulfur for the skin,
Yeah.
there can be an aggravation. And an aggravation is where the symptoms, they flare up. Or you can also call it a healing crisis. I think that's a word that more people are kind of familiar with, that we understand that there can be what we call a healing crisis, where the temperature raises a little bit and the symptoms gets a little bit worse before they withdraw. That's different from a side effect. A side effect is where you take pain medication for your headache and then you get a stomach ulcer. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You get a symptom that you never had before.
Right.
When you have an aggravation from homeopathy, it's symptoms that you have already that may flare up as a part of the path to healing, or it can be symptoms that are returning that you haven't had for a while. if you have like treat like a herpes or something like this. And that's when you have to consider, when should I see a homeopath about this? So maybe you are prone to migraines and you want to treat your migraine acutely, but then you just have to consider and say, would I be able to handle an aggravation?
Right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Or if you have eczema on your face, would I be able to handle an aggravation? And, you know, sometimes the aggravation is necessary, but at least in my practice, and also one of the reasons why I choose to work with people on a subscription, it gives me time to treat the individual so that they hopefully won't have to have any aggravations.
Right.
In particular, migraines. I have a 0 tolerance policy for aggravations in migraines and also in skin that itches. Because it's impossible to deal with. You can't handle it. How are you going to handle it?
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, so what can people expect if they have, so they pay a monthly fee. There's a minimum amount of time that they need to do that, right? For the
4 months.
4 months minimum.
4 months. That's what I feel. That, you know, I was thinking, how can I make a better price? How can I, what I want to make it as affordable as possible for people. So, and then I was like, okay, this is a good price. I'm happy with this price. And then at the same time, I'm like, okay, so what do I want to be able to perform well? I want 4 months.
Right. Fair enough.
Because in 4 months, I know what we can do in 4 months. I also know that maybe the second or maybe the third consultation sometimes can feel a little bit like, but nothing happened. Okay, I know that, but I still want you to come back, because that nothing happened is also information for the homeopath, you know? And I want to take, and I know when we have had 4 months together, at least, I mean, 4 months is not enough to deal with all issues, right? Sometimes it's enough. Sometimes it only takes 3 months. And then I'm like, okay, let's just cancel the subscription. I'm not going to hold you in the subscription when you don't need it. Do you know what I mean? But when we have had 4 months, you as a patient, you know what homeopathy can do.
Right.
After 4 months.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's what I want in return. And then I'm just trying to give as much as possible, because I really seriously do want people to use homeopathy, you know. So what I'm saying is that sometimes in the beginning, I may want to say, okay, look, take this remedy, but normally homeopathic consultations are monthly. But then I have the freedom to say, let's book another appointment in 2 weeks' time, because that's included in the subscription. It doesn't cost anything more, because I want to see you more often.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really great. And the same thing, anybody that is in a subscription, acute appointments are included, but you must have a kit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great deal. Heck, that's a great deal. That's absolutely okay. That's amazing. So guys, take advantage of that if you want. Like, and you can see Mette from wherever you are, That's super handy, and I know it'll be super helpful. So let's talk about some specific. I want to talk about, like, let's take 3 things, if you don't mind, like that are coming up for people right now, and maybe some remedies or that. So one thing that's top of mind right now, and I don't know if this is something that we can talk about really here and they can deal with it, but say, for example, so there's a boy that I know, and I know her cousin is going to be listening to this probably. But he's a young boy. He's very smart, but boy, he's busy. He doesn't stop. And you know, and I think that's important. I think that's a natural, healthy child. But then there's the kind of the extreme version where, you know, to the point where there's labels, and I hate labeling children. I don't want to label anybody with any kind of disorder, right? It's just like, there's always a reason for these things. So say somebody's very busy, getting into things, not necessarily paying attention. Is there something other than really good food, good sleep habits, maybe not so much screen time and electronics and all that crap, getting out in nature? Let's set some basics here, because this is very important for a healthy growth and development of a child. But what about homeopathically? Is there something there that could be helpful?
Yeah, there's first of all, there's Nox vomica that you have in the kit.
Okay.
Which is something that we use for, actually we use it for hangovers as well. We use it, and we use it for too much of a good thing. So,
okay.
what happens when we get stressed? Our senses get very reactive. So if there is a smell, it becomes overwhelming. If there's a draft, it becomes overwhelming. If there's a sound, it becomes overwhelming. That's like a remedy that we use for that. Like when you're hungover, your tolerance kind of like drops.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's one remedy for that. In the kit, another remedy that is in there for that is phosphorus. It could be phosphorus. Where in phosphorus, it's a gas, and a gas gets into everything, and it has basically a difficult time figuring out where do I begin and when do you begin, and that. So phosphorus, you also have. We use it also for clairvoyance, for instance, when people report they're clairvoyant or that they get very affected by other people's emotions. So and also phosphorus, they it's like everything is a jump scare for them. Boom, like they react, and then they're also calmed down quite quickly again. They're afraid of a lot of things, but they're also calmed down quite easily. So those are two remedies. Like if this was a situation where I was talking with somebody, I would say, you know what, try these remedies. Let me know how it goes. Okay. The next layer of remedies I would go for in this regard, there's one, coffea. So
right.
yes. So coffea is a remedy that is made from coffee, from caffeine, basically. So if this boy, he is a little bit like he had too much coffee.
Yeah, that could be descriptive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For some kids, it can be sugar. If they had too much sugar, they go into like this overexcited state.
Right.
Like where it becomes, it's like, I'm not tired. They
Mm.
come home from the birthday and they're full of
Right.
sugar and everything was so exciting, and it's like going up on here until it flips the other way and there's a screaming match.
Right.
That's very quite coffea. Also, a remedy that we use quite a lot for is bedtime. And this is, what, you can give this to your children for bedtime to help them sleep. It's not sleep medication. It's just, I'm sorry, I almost said a swear word, because it's like children need their sleep, okay? And we can help them also go to sleep with homeopathy. And we are not drugging them, we are helping them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are helping them to get into the state where they can actually go to sleep. Another good remedy for that is passiflora. So I don't know if you've ever grown a passion flower at home.
I haven't.
No, but they are just like this one long string that just grows like crazy. And then it sets a new flower every day that is completely psychedelic. It's like, yeah, where did I think I did do some course somewhere where I added a video of a time lapse video of a passion flower when it's growing, but it's just when Oh, I have this idea. I have this idea. I have this idea. And
Oh,
but now it's time to sleep. So we don't need to have any more ideas now, you know. Not that there's anything wrong with having lots of ideas, but it's bad not to get your sleep. So actually passiflora and coffea are also two remedies that I use a lot for sleep. They are not in the kit.
right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's thousands of remedies, right? Like literally thousands. So you
Yeah.
can't have, like, I mean, there's some good key ones in the kit, but you can't have them all in there. So,
Mm-hmm.
so now I have a question, because in the crude amount, people use passion flower to fall asleep. So isn't it supposed to be the homeopathy is the opposite of that, right? Like if something's
Yeah,
so
it's yeah.
so like I don't understand. So this is why I don't understand. So if something is causing you the irritation, like say poison ivy in the bulk amount, the homeopathic remedy will fix it. But it sounds like in passion flower, both are doing the same thing.
Yeah, and they are doing the same thing. But you know, I would argue that the homeopathic version is a gazillion times more efficient
Oh, okay.
because it will just get deeper. You know, it's the same thing. You actually have it. It's like a little bit of a variation with the hypericum, which is in the kit,
Right.
which we use for nerve damage. We use
Yeah.
it for nerve damage with the homeopathically. But hypericum, what is it actually? It's St. John's wort.
Yeah.
And and we use that in a herbal as a herbal remedy. We use that for depression, where you could say that the nerves are worn,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not always as direct, you know. Some of these little stories that I talk a lot about in your daily dose, it's also something to help you remember the remedies, so
Mm-hmm.
that you remember what they are for. Because the homeopathic passiflora doesn't work as a quieter of the mind. There's actually some people, you know, when you want to remember it, they call it homeopathic anesthesia.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
um, but so you know, it doesn't work like that because the flower is doing what it's doing. It works like that because we found out this is the way that it works. Do you know what I mean? It's not because the and but we can use these things to remember the remedies. Like for instance, if you take belladonna, belladonna is a black berry that very much looks like the pupil in our eyes. And you know, one of the things that is about belladonna, we use it for fevers. It
Yeah.
is that we can look at the person with the fever and then we can see if their pupils are big,
Right.
it's a sign that they need belladonna. But you know, it's not because the berry is the berry, you know, looks like a pupil,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it helps us, it
Right.
informs us and reminds of, we can use it basically
Yeah.
as a way. But with coffee, we know absolutely what the physical effect is of caffeine is on the body. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
And we know absolutely what is the physical effect of arsenic has on the body. You know, it gives you the runs, and we use it for diarrhea.
So we use arsenicum for diarrhea. Okay, so let's talk about arsenicum. I think that's a pretty important one. We'll just talk about a couple more, and then you're gonna have to get the kit and get the course and figure it all out from there. But let's talk about a couple key ones in there. So let's talk about arsenicum. When would somebody use arsenicum?
So arsenicum is a, you know, like the short version, food poisoning.
Okay.
So what's food poisoning? Food poisoning is diarrhea, vomiting. And that's how we like to talk about food poisoning. But there's also a mental and emotional picture in that. And that is, I want to die.
Oh,
you know, like a big fear, you know, like a neurotic fear. I don't know about you if you ever had food poisoning.
No.
I
No, but
had
my
it
mom had
twice.
a terrible bout where literally she was,
Yeah.
if she didn't get fixed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I, you know, I was just, I remember having, I knew it was food poisoning. I knew it. I understood that it was food poisoning. But at the same time, I was like, how am I going to live my life like this?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like quite neurotic. And actually, you know, like you get neurotic about, can I make it to the bathroom? What can I eat? Can I take a small sip of water? Actually, you know what? One of the signs of arsenicum, it is that they drink in small sips of water,
Oh, okay.
even if it's for a fever that you want to give it. Okay. But that's what I like so much about the homeopathic remedies. It is that we get, it's like we say, okay, food poisoning, it's a physical thing. It's like, no, but it's not just a physical thing. It's actually also a big mental crisis that you're going through because nothing works on you anymore, and it's scary
Right.
and it makes you neurotic.
So if somebody is having a life situation, they're like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like, I feel like I'm going to die. Like my friend went through some stuff several years ago. She's like, she literally felt like she's going to die. Would arsenicum be a good,
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah.
to take for
If
that?
it's not a panic attack, because the panic
That
attack,
wasn't, yeah.
aconite, yeah. Like arsenicum, it's more like this kind of like neurotic, like and when we look at it for preparation for birth, it's actually one of the remedies I have there. It's when the woman, she gets neurotic about writing lists, making sure everybody is in the right place. You need to do this, and then you need to do this. This is how I want my birth. This is how everything is going to be. Kind of like in a controlling way, but also in the nest building way, you know,
Mm.
where this neurosis can kind of grind the woman down even before, you know, she needs to sleep. She needs to have energy for the big thing she's gonna go through, you know, so it can help with that. But when you look at what is arsenicum, it's arsenic. What do we know about arsenic? Now, again, to help us remember, I don't know if this is the reason why arsenicum is like this, but what is it known for? It was a secret poison, you know, and you could poison people with it without anybody ever finding out until they could start detecting it in the blood. And what you did was you just increased the dose a little bit every day. And of course, the person is kind of like going, there's something going on. I don't know what it is. I don't understand. I feel so strange. Or, you know, but I don't, you know. So you can imagine like the neurosis that will build up in a person that is slowly being poisoned because they will understand
Right,
that there's something going on. They just don't know what it is.
right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, fair enough.
But food poisoning.
Food poisoning.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you do also homeopathic charcoal for that? Would
Yeah.
you?
Carbo veg. You got that in your kit.
Yeah. So carbo veg, arsenic
Yeah.
and carbo veg. So carbo veg. I had a reason to do carbo veg the other day. I was having some atypical digestive stuff. And I'm like, honey, can you look this up just for these symptoms? I'm pretty sure carbo veg would be helpful. And that's one of the ones that came up. And it helped. Like
It
fast.
works just as well as activated charcoal in some. I love activated charcoal, but and I would normally say, you know, if you got activated charcoal, then take the activated charcoal. And then there was
Right.
just like one day, I don't know, I didn't have activated charcoal, and I just took Pablo Veg. It worked exactly the same way.
Right. Okay, so
And
let's
yeah,
quickly, I think those are some good ones. Okay, folks. So if you're not weren't interested in homeopathy before, I'm sure you are now. Like it's just it's to me, it's like essential medicine. There's a few things that are essential these days if we're gonna really take control of our health, if we're gonna restore the health of our children and not depend on these big interests that don't not only they don't give a shit about you, they actually want you to be sick so that you depend on them, right? Like, why would we support that? Why would we support a form of medicine that actually doesn't want you to take it for the long term, huh? Wow, what about that? Right? You use it in those for those short purposes, and then you get back on track and away you go. So it's super empowering, super great for pet family, but it's just great for everyone. So Mette, did we talk about everything that you think we needed to touch on? So anything
Yeah, I think so. But I think I would, in this regard to how allopathic medicine, which is mainstream medicine, and I don't know if you knew it, but allopathic is actually a homeopathic term.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah, and it basically means the other medicine.
No. No way. Seriously.
Yeah, no, it does. But
Oh,
they have adopted it. They seem proud of it. They love it. They're like, we're the allopaths, and yes, you are. But what the allopaths are doing, they basically treat you worse than the mechanic treats your car, because it's the same way as if you went down to your mechanic, down to the garage, and you said, hey man, I got this red light lighting up on the dashboard, could you please fix it?
Yeah.
And then the guy comes out with a hammer and just smashes the dashboard and says, now you don't have to look at the
red light. Yeah.
at the red light anymore. When we have physical symptoms, it's just a red light. It's just a signal about something else is going on somewhere else in the body. That's the way we look at it from the homeopathic perspective. We see the symptom, and the symptoms, we must remember that the symptoms are always the body trying to fix it. Yeah. The body's trying to fix something. So when we see the symptom as a homeopath, we go, what is the body trying to fix? Where is the problem? Let's find the problem so we can heal the problem, so the body can stop trying to fix it. But when you go down to the allopath, they will go, your body's trying to fix something, let's prevent the body from fixing it.
Right. Let's just suppress. Hide it. Right? They're hiding it. They're suppressing it.
They're hiding it. It's like you go down to your doctor and you have a pain in your foot. And the doctor says, yeah, well, you got a stone, because if you and you have a pain in your foot because you got a stone in your shoe. And then they give you a painkiller so you don't feel the pain from the stone in your shoe.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
We treat plants better. We don't cut off the brown spots from a plant and call it healed. No, we look at the soil. We look at how much sunlight does it get? Does it get enough water? Yeah.
Totally. And so if people want to contact you, all the links are going to be down below, guys. But so we've got homeopathy.com. What else? Your Instagram, which is
Homeopathy as well. And yeah, you can find me on Facebook. But I think Instagram, I'm racing towards 10,000.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing. Good for you. And then also, if you just go to your app store or whatever it's called.
Yeah, iTunes and what's your Google Play. Yeah, and look for homeopathy as well.
And just download that right onto your phone. Have it with you wherever you go, and you can have that information there. And it's not just, it's more, there's a lot of information on there. So it's super handy, super.
And there's also a podcast on the same name as well that you can find on iTunes and SoundCloud. And
you
I don't know.
Have a podcast?
Yes, I have a little podcast.
Oh, podcast.
Yes.
What the heck? I did see that, but I didn't really register. So you
well, it's like it's I'm very on and off with it, but I'm kind of getting into it again because I got this cool microphone now. So.
Oh yeah, it is very cool. Look at that, very psychedelic. So are you interviewing people, or is this you just sharing your wisdom?
I'm just talking, and then I hope what I would really like to do, and if there's anybody that is listening to this podcast that would be up for it, please get in touch, because I would like to do some live, some recorded consultations.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. But
Oh,
then, of course, it would be someone that would be willing to answer all these questions. You know, I kind of got inspired on it because there is this one on Netflix where they do couples therapy.
mm-hmm.
And I find that so insightful. But of course, they're also sitting there just talking about everything. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, maybe some people would be up for it, you know, to do a homeopathic consultation, or, you know, not one, but several, you know, so that there's follow-ups and so that we can see how everything moves along. And then, of course, it would be free, you know. That would be the trade,
Amazing.
but I just think that yeah, I would like to show people more exactly what it is because it's so mysterious, I think, for most people.
It is.
So I would like to do that on the podcast.
So if anybody's listening and you're not a very private person and you're willing to be open with what you're experiencing and you want to take advantage of that and get a free consult for everybody of the world to hear, but hey, that's great. Like, why not? That's
It would be
amazing.
anonymous, you know, and it's podcast, so there's no people won't even see you.
Okay.
So.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Very cool. Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Mette, I think that is again awesome. It's always so much fun to talk to you. It's always fun to catch up and exciting. And you know, you're just doing it and you're on your own path and you're just unapologetic, which I love. Like, right? That's what we need to do. People just be unapologetic who you are and forge forward. So I'm gonna have the kits. We've got and look at my links for the course. If you don't mind, I get, you know, it is an affiliate link. And because I wasn't an affiliate when I signed up, I just signed up. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And she's like, oh, here, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah. And so it would really help me. I really want to spend more time on this podcast. So anything that can come through here that it doesn't cost you anymore, then hey, please, I really appreciate that. And share the love if you've enjoyed this podcast. And until the next time, I've got a couple great more interviews coming up this month. I've got Nadine Artemis. We're going to talk about dental care and all that holistic dental care. And then we're going to talk about maybe the myth of contagion and all that crap later on as well. So, and homeopathy, a big part of all of that as well. So again, thanks, Mette. Hold the line. And until then, guys, thanks for tuning in. Please share this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this one. And I'll be back soon.